Because PAGCOR is a monopoly. Why advertise a monopoly? Mayor Binay, he appears in ads extolling the benefits of living in Makati, where he is mayor, thus making a subliminal pitch for national office. By admitting that public funds were used for these ads, the executive officials are admitting that they are guilty of the election offense of using public funds for electioneering. The Election Code, Section 261, prohibits any person under any guise whatsoever, directly or indirectly, to use public funds for campaigning. Napakaliwanag niyan. Maski estudyante kayo, maski hindi pa kayo umabot ng college, naintindihan ninyo. Maski sinong tao, hindi sinabing kailangan kandidato. Dahil ang kandidato, sabi nila, ay kailangan nag-file muna ng Certificate of Candidacy. Okay. Sabi ng batas, hindi kailangan na kandidato ka. Maski sinong tao, maski anong paraan, under any guise whatsoever, directly or indirectly. Kaya hindi lang directly, maski indirect way. If you use public funds, you shall be guilty of an election offense. Hindi ba maliwanag yan? Kung makakabasa ka, dapat maintindihan mo. Basta normal lang ang mentalidad mo at hindi ka lang autistic. I charge that all these cabinet members are suffering from narcissism to such an extent that they have now become autistic and should be examined by the Secretary of Health, beginning with himself. Dahil nakalagay maliwanag Any person who uses, under any guise whatsoever, directly or indirectly, public funds shall be guilty of an election offense. Yan ang problema ng ating bansa. Dahil binabaluktot natin ang batas para sa ating kapakanan. May I just say to those two girls there, will you please stop smiling and looking at your cell phones? If you're not listening to my speech, please step out. Now! Nakaka-insulto yung ginagawa ninyo sa Senado ng Pilipinas. Seryoso ako dito You are obviously talking something else. Please step out if you are not interested in the proceedings of the Senate. Ads paid by friends constitute indirect bribery. The infomercials of Mr. Puno, Mr. Teodoro, and maybe others purport to be paid by, quote, friends, unquote. If so, the disclaimer in the TV ads constitute an admission of the crime of receiving manifestly excessive gifts as defined by RA number 3019, the Anti-Graft Act. Next slide, please. The rate card of a top TV channel charges 475,000 pesos for every 30 seconds of prime time. Bilangin yung second, ganito, 1. Ganito ang pagbilang mo, 1, 100, 2, 100, 3, 100, hanggang umabot ka sa 30 seconds, yan, kalahating milyon na. Ilang beses niya, ipaulit-ulit yung infomercial niyang yon of 30 seconds in the course of the day and of the night. It appears that the running time of each executive official, ranked from the longest to the shortest, are as follows. Secretary Teodoro, 1 minute, 12 seconds. I-multiply mo every 30 seconds by 500,000 or by 500,000. Ilang milyon yun? Secretary Blani, 1 minute, 3 seconds. Genuino, 60 seconds. De Castro, 54 seconds. Binay, 39 seconds. Puno, 33. Teves, 30. Sihuko, 30. Duque, 29. Fernando, 20. Lapu, 16. These government officials are spending taxpayers' money like there is no tomorrow. If, as some ads proclaim, they were paid for by friends, the cost would run to hundreds of millions. Even a gift of 1 million pesos is already considered to be manifestly excessive. We can only calculate that these ad expenses are arrogantly excessive, as in, walang hiyaan na talaga ito. We have been invaded by a herd of rhinoceros that are not only thick-skinned but also dim-witted. They are making public admissions of the prohibited act of accepting a gift which is manifestly excessive. under the rules implementing the Code of Conduct, which is a law. If convicted, they have to suffer the imprisonment of up to 5 years and disqualification to hold public office. Recommendations. In this speech, I do not include the issue of premature campaigning because I have brought a case to the Supreme Court where it is pending. It is sub judice, and I refrain from discussing it on the merits except to express my humble conviction that certain people are breaking the law against premature campaigns. Here are my recommendations. Recommendation number 1, I appeal to my colleagues in this Senate that when we deliberate on the budget next month, we should abolish appropriations for advertising. Bakit kailangan mag-advertise sila? Maliban lang kako nga, ayon sa saligang batas, ang Department of Health or maybe ang DSWD. Dahil kailangan sa radyo, sabihan mo ang mga may sakit o ang mga napinsala ng mga kalamidad kung saan sila makakakuha ng tulong kaagad. But if we have to keep this line item, we should accompany it with the condition that it should not feature the agency head or any political image or any effort to influence public support for a political candidate. These prohibitions have been adopted by other countries. One example is the Guidelines on Campaign Advertising, dated June 208, by the Australian Government Department of Finance. Another example is an American law that prohibits public officials from using the facilities of public office, directly or indirectly, for the purpose of assisting a campaign for election of any person to any office. Recommendation number 2, I also appeal to my colleagues in this august chamber that in the 2010 budget, we should amend Section 59, the, quote, general provision on the use of savings, unquote. We should add the condition that savings and contingent funds shall not be used to augment the budget for professional services and for advertising agencies. Recommendation number 3, I urge the COMELEC to discharge its constitutional duty to, quote, recommend to the Congress effective measures to minimize election spending, unquote. Gentlemen of the COMELEC, where is your political will? In effect, you people in the COMELEC have to assume responsibility for the premature campaigning of these cabinet candidates because of your ruling on my petition, which I have elevated to the Supreme Court. Binigyan na kayo sana ng pagkakataon na mahinto na ito, hindi pa nag-umpisa. Ayaw nyo. Why so timorous? With the avalanche of cabinet infomercials, it has now become clear to the public that by the refusal by the COMELEC to stop premature campaigning on the basis of a technicality, COMELEC opened the way to a slippery slope. Recommendation number 4, I urge the COA disallow all advertising expenses and demand that executive officials concerned should return to the government the money they used for their advertisements. Ibalik nila ang pera ng taong bayan, ipamigay natin sa pantawid pamilya. Recommendation number 5, I urge Channel 2 under its Boto Mo, Ipatrol Mo campaign, Channel 7 under its own election watchdog crusade, all other media, and all NGOs dedicated to honest and clean elections to file a complaint with the COMELEC for this election offense against the executive officials I have mentioned and others doing the same. If COMELEC fails to act on a citizen complaint within 4 months from filing, I urge the NGOs to file the complaints with the state prosecutor or the Justice Department. Recommendation number 6, I demand that the press secretary, as head of the communications group in the office of the president, should discharge his legal duty by directing all cabinet candidates to stop their information immediately. Executive Order number 511 dated 206 creates the communications group and requires it to discharge the function of supervision of public information activities, including advertisements. Yan ang katungkulan ng press secretary ayon dito sa executive order na ito. Anong ginagawa niya? Kung hindi niya kaya ang mga cabinet members, di sabihin niya sa Pangulo para mapalitan siya. At ang Pangulo naman sana ay sapituhin niya ang lahat ng cabinet members na ito dahil sa halip na tulungan sana siya as her official family, nagdadagdag lang ng problema sa kanya.